on, Rhodesia, get it together, girl. Look at you. Boy, oh boy. Let's get this thing rolling. Episode 49. We are one episode away from 50. How incredible is that? That is fantastic. Welcome to the TFW podcast. That's freaking wrestling. I am your host, Matt, joined by my usual suspects. Eshaun is in the building. Rhodesia's in the building, but who knows what we're going to hear from her. She is doing something with her microphone. I'm not even sure if she even knows that we're live. But we are live, pal. As JR said, to Psycho Sid when he flubbed his backstage promo with Ted DiBiase on In Your House. We're live, pal. Rhodesia, you good to go now?
I'm back.
She's back.
Hello, everyone.
What is
I
up,
just
y'all?
wanted to redo.
Hey, you know what? Real quick, Rhodesia, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you just remind me, I'm gonna forget. So we're talking about messed up lines. If anybody has never seen, I'm pretty sure Rhodesia probably never seen it. If you guys have never seen, gosh, I'm forgetting his name, Tugboat, when he went to WCW.
She's seen that on repeat. She has
you see
absolutely.
that? What's the character's name?
Shockmaster.
Shockmaster.
Oh my gosh,
you
he's
guys
the
have
most
never
funniest thing in life.
seen the Shockmaster WCW.
Do you remember the story that Cody
YouTube
told
it.
about it?
Oh yeah, Uncle Fred.
Yeah. He
Oh
was like,
man. Oh my God, that's Uncle Fred. Look, friends, family, if you have not seen the Shockmaster, YouTube it. It is the most hilarious thing. Do yourself a favor. I'm telling you, you will laugh for days after seeing
for
this clip.
days. For
It
days.
is the best and the worst introduction in the history of
I'm the
wrestling.
Shockmaster.
What the hell?
And then you hear British Bulldog. The funny thing is, guys, listen to the wrestlers reacting to all this shenanigans happening. You hear British Bulldog off camera. He fell on his ass.
I don't remember.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Listen, look, watch it again. You hear him in the background. Oh my God! He fell on his ass.
I would
Classic
say
moment.
the only thing that's funnier. Nah, I still think that's the funniest. But the one that's coming right up next to it is Booker T talking about some Hogan. We're coming to get you. I think those are my top two that
Hey,
will go down
hey,
no matter
that was-
what. I'm laughing.
That was the one. That was one too. Yeah.
And it's Scott Steiner's math.
That was one too.
That's awesome. So top three.
Top three, but yeah, Shockmaster got to be top, man. I watched that one day. This is recently. I watched it on repeat like for 10 minutes.
And it's crazy because that gimmick was already DOA. And like,
Oh yeah,
he
you
was
never
like, know
saw
what?
you
Yeah.
never saw Shockmaster again. I don't think I
Nope.
ever remember seeing him after that.
That is too damn funny. Well, I mean, we're starting with WCW. I guess we can go right into the King of the South, evidently, Cody Rhodes. From last night's Monday Night Raw. Of course, we taped this on Tuesday night. You guys listen to it on Wednesday. Before we get to that, shout out to everybody who is listening to the pod, supports the pod. Appreciate you guys. Hit that follow button if you have not already, of course, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are there for you 2 times a week. Leave a 5-star review. Also, that helps us in the rankings. All right, so on Raw, Cody Rhodes. Incredible crowd.
Shout out
Hot.
Atlanta.
Yep. Oh, man. So he was not at the show. That crowd was there. I watched that shit. We talked about it a few weeks ago, and I asked you guys, is this a different WWE audience that's coming to these shows? We're going on a month and a half now of hot shows. They are selling out everywhere they're going, or damn near selling out. House shows, they're pulling in some great attendance. I was watching last night. I'm like, damn, this crowd has been there the entire night. That main event they were there for. So typically, we all know around that second hour, crowd dies off, and then third hour dies off, and maybe the crowd is, there for the main event. They were there the entire night. So shout out to Atlanta. But what I think is maybe if it's not a different crowd, it's gotta be that WWE is cool again.
That's what I said. When you look in the crowd, you have the families. They're always going to have the families. And in 100 years from now, if we're still here as humans, they're still going to have the kids and families. But the older guys, that was either a lapsed fan that came back, or they think that it's cool to say it again, that I'm going to a wrestling show.
Because they are boisterous, loud, interacting. And wrestling, you look at WWE, I was looking at Judgment Day. And like when they come out, they look cool. It's not often back in the day in WWE, and we could even go back in the day, probably a couple years. It wasn't many people that looked cool on camera. Of course, if you go back 90s, you had The Rock. Yes, he looked cool. But if you just go back a couple years ago, Roman had on the vest. The vest is not cool.
I didn't mind the vest back in the day.
But
it wasn't cool, though. Like, you wouldn't rock the vest. I remember they were selling that at WrestleMania. No, you wouldn't. You ain't never rocked the vest.
Or used to rock a vest?
That is a bulletproof vest. Completely different. Shout out to my boy 52. He going out on tour. Starting actually this week. We can go see him in September in Detroit. But like wrestling is, they look cool now. Rhea has on the Nikes. Of course, the bloodline is always dripped out in red and black, and they got the pants and the shoes to match. Just they look cool now. The women look great when they are coming out, and it's not to wrestle. They are looking incredible, and whatever they're wearing, it's not just like wrestling clothes. So I think that may have something to do with it too. But I think that now when people are going to the shows, they are there because they feel like, man, it's cool to cheer, it's cool to boo. And they were there last night. So once again, shout out to Atlanta. I think they are I forgot where they are Friday, but I know the attendance looks really strong for that show. The attendance for next Monday is strong. We know already they've moved 47,000 tickets for SummerSlam here in a couple weeks. So looking pretty good. But back to Cody Rhodes. What happened to your boy, man? Your boy got his ass beat in front of his mom.
Man,
that's so sad.
What a night for him. I mean, so you guys must love Cody right now because you guys wanted to see him struggle. You guys wanted to be all over the bus. He's struggling, right? He getting beat down from his mom's and hometown. After you cried, he cried.
He did,
and they got his ass whooped afterwards. I mean, y'all gotta feel good about y'all. Are y'all ready to finally invest into Cody?
I invest my laughter into Cody every week.
I'm thinking, because my GOAT would never get his ass beat in front of his mom. That wouldn't happen. But has he gone through enough? Like, seriously. So are we going to assume and say that he's beating Brock at SummerSlam?
He gonna have to after he got beat up as bad as he did. Because we're not gonna see Cody again. We're not gonna see him again until SummerSlam, or maybe right before SummerSlam.
We'll see him again. I think we'll see him again.
We only have a couple more weeks anyways.
Yeah, maybe not next week, but we'll see him on that Go Home Raw show. I think, and I think Brock is actually advertised for that Go Home show too.
And he's advertised for next week, I think, too, right?
Remember, he cut that quick promo and said, "See you at SummerSlam."
Right. That's right. That's right. Yep.
That boy, he said, I'm going home. I see y'all in Detroit. I'm done right now.
Yeah.
But you would think he has to beat Brock. You would think he has to beat Brock. But then what's next for him? I know we talked about it on the last pod, but when he cut that promo and just said, "Hey, I'm next," I don't know how you get there. So does somebody else, unless, and now I'm saying this out loud, is this where we get the return of Randy Orton?
Could.
That story is...
A half a second, I thought he was going to show up last night. And I forgot when exactly I thought it was because I was in the middle of cooking. But I was like, it feels ripe. Did Riddle get beat? Did he get jumped by Imperium after that match?
No, he got his ass beat by Gunther.
He got his ass whooped by Gunther. I know that.
No.
But them chops, strikes.
They were going for it. They were going for it. And that match was better than that match was better than their PLE match, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I can't say. I just thought to myself, I'm like, he being Gunther, he's gonna give somebody a heart attack with those hits. Those hits are so hard to somebody's chest, and Riddle was just taking all of them.
I mean, Riddle was going. He was going back at him.
Hey, gonna beat his ass. He put some shorts on.
He was going back at him. But yeah, now that Cody said that, if there's any time for Orton to come back, it's now. They have a ready-made feud from their history in WWE. And how beautiful would that be? How ironic would that be if Cody gets past Brock? Hey, Cody's about to finish his story. Orton comes back. they hug or whatever, and boom, RKO. And now we run that story, through the fall.
Yep, until it's ready for him to go.
That's probably the way to go, because the
heavyweight champion.
Cody's not going after Seth. He's already said he doesn't want that belt. And there's nobody else on Raw that's worthy of him holding the story, putting his story on hold to fight them. It's got to be Orton.
This is why I feel like you guys would be great friends with Tony Khan. This is like something he would book. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. I was like, that's horrible booking. Like, why would you do that?
Why do you think it's horrible?
Do people like Randy Orton? They love Randy Orton. Has he been gone for a year?
They also loved Edge too, and they turned Edge heel.
But we're talking about Randy Orton right now, right? So regardless of what he comes back as, what are people going to do? They're going to cheer their ass off for Randy.
No,
Orton.
not
he
if
is over. He
not
is
if
over.
Cody is as over as we think he is.
Yep, I think Brock is more over than Randy.
No,
Brock is more over than Randy. And if he was able to get Brock to turn heel, then I could see Randy going heel.
Brock has been positioned as a heel for most of his tenure since he's been back. Randy Orton is a returning injured wrestler who's super over with. All right, even when he was a heel, he was getting great pops. We talked about back in the day when WWE was super stale. Randy Orton was getting like superstar pops. So you're gonna bring back a returning superstar to feud against your star for the future? Nah, you don't do that. Absolutely, you don't do that. You come down if you want to get Randy ready for Cody. You let him do what he's supposed to do. He beat on Riddle's ass until he put some shorts on, right? Solidify him as a heel, right? Wear out that welcoming hero thing, and then you give him to Cody if you're going to do it.
Man, I don't think Riddle's over enough to bring Orton back for Riddle, though. I don't. But he got a hell of a reaction last night, but
that's a to be continued feud, right? Because RK Bro. Mm-hmm. That was hot a couple years ago, right? Oh, that kind of rhyme. Your boy is hot tonight.
Lord have mercy.
Let's go. But yeah, so that means we still remember that, right? So there's still a little bit of sugar in that jar that it can kind of go back to. And yeah, and Randy, please beat his ass till the shorts come back on. But I'll tell you.
Okay, so you just said it right there that Randy would be a heel. He said beat his ass until the shorts get back put on. Randy is a snake. Randy is a snake. He is naturally a heel. He's always been a heel. He will always be a heel. We've also said who's the only person who's going to whip Rhea's ass that's a man is going to be Randy. Randy's going to.
But I also said you gotta give him somebody else just to kind of get that, because he's going to come back with a warrior's welcome, with a hero's welcome, I should say, right? You don't give him that hero's welcome return in the feud against your top babyface.
But he's not.
Give him somebody else first.
But according to your storyline, he will still be a heel because he's going to come back against Riddle and be a heel, and that he would be absolutely cheered if he turns on Riddle.
Yep.
Yeah.
The key thing is, I said you wear out.
You're just worried that your boy Cody's going to be flouting his back again for weeks and weeks and weeks if Orton comes back and hits him with that punt kick and RKO. That's all it is.
I just think it's bad business, and you see it on your favorite show, AEW, when you guys have these two guys that are equally over against each other. Like, right, at the end of the day, you're asking the audience, regardless of how they're positioned, right? Because people are going to care about who they're going to care about. You're asking the audience to pick who they're going to cheer for, right? You're going to split the audience potentially with a feud like that, and that's not something you want with your next babyface or your next big heel. You want to have a definite, I'm booing this guy, I'm cheering this guy. And you're not going to have that in that scenario. But y'all it's a bad idea. It's okay. You guys have them all the time.
Rhodesia,
bring back the Fiend. Bring back the Fiend.
I've already
bring back
this. It doesn't matter because next week he's going to forget he said it. So
typically around this time, you guys, any listeners of the podcast knows Eshaun never remembers what he says from week to week. So this one is almost close to being like in history the quickest. It's not though. 2 weeks ago was the quickest. But last week we just talked about, and you asked us, so this is really bad. This was your question. You asked us, you said, hey, if you can only watch one show, which one would it be? WWE and AEW. And both Rhodesia and I said WWE. So there's no way that AEW is our favorite show. And my favorite show in AEW is Collision, which they've done that fantastically well. So he was off again, man.
Nice
job waiting 14 minutes before you forgot what you said before.
It's just a bad booking decision that you guys got to be AEW fans. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
So I'll entertain this conversation with you for just a moment. Who else then will be next for Cody? And then help me make that make sense.
I was just about to tell you, bring back Bray Wyatt. Bring him back.
Where's the
Cody Rhodes? That one? Let's go with it.
That doesn't make sense though.
Where's the cricket for that one?
Why would the Fiend come back after, or Bray Wyatt come after Cody?
Why not?
Is Cody really Uncle Howdy?
I don't know who's Uncle Howdy. You might be Uncle Howdy. I don't know. We ain't told the story yet.
That's crazy talk.
I mean, he got gray in his beard. I mean, it kind of worked.
Hey, quiet as kept. Matt was kind of gone a lot last fall, right? No joking.
He was doing this thing the other day. I saw him. I mean,
What the hell? So they've completely set that up. Now that match is official, which we knew already. No stipulation yet. We'll see if they add a stipulation to it.
It's a rubber band stipulation.
That's what I said, man. King of the South, T.I. Rubber band, man. Rubber match. It's all there. I thought that was a really good piece of business. I love the Seth and Finn segment, sit down. That was what the first promo segment was supposed to be, until the crowd hijacked it and Finn couldn't get his lines out and he was flustered. But we're here now. They're billing SummerSlam. Yep, they're billing SummerSlam at 7 years in the making. The build, yes, he said, I want my rematch. But if you kind of take that out of it, this feels like they really haven't wrestled yet, the way this build is going. But it was a fantastic piece of business. I loved how Seth got serious when Finn came in. It was fantastic. Two thumbs up there. I still don't think Seth loses, but damn.
I'm telling you though, I'm on the side.
Man, it would be a moment. It would be a moment.
I mean, do you blow up Judgment Day then? So does Finn win? And then immediately, we've seen this story happen before, but then do we see him cash in? What they call him?
Could you imagine?
What did they
Senor
call
Money
him?
In the Bank.
Senor Money in the Bank. Yeah, Senor.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Senor then cashing in on Finn? Oh,
to be honest, that's where I think this is all going towards. I'm like, okay, this is because you think everything's all good. They're Finn and Senor, they're handshaking, smiling at each other. Everything seems to be good, right? All of a sudden, this match pops up and. Senor comes in and does something to cause Finn or after or before and causes more friction, right? So,
and they got to take it to the next level because the first match, he was involved. He stood up when Finn was about to hit the coup de grace.
There we go.
Like the Rhodesia coup de grace.
And so we heard back body. We heard back body drop. Corey Gray said back body drop.
You should have saw Rhodesia. You would have thought.
I was so happy.
You would have thought The Rock came back or something. The way she popped up when they said back body drop.
I was like, he listens to the TFW podcast.
They definitely listen.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Shout out to them.
They heard you. They heard you.
I thought that was great. We're continuing Hot Potato with the women's title. Yep. So shout out to the new champions, which I hate to be down. I'm not down on them winning. Sonya absolutely earned the gold. We've talked about how incredible Chelsea's been. She's been fantastic since she's been back. So shout out to them. Love to see them win. But all right, that's enough now. Y'all got to figure this out. And then I saw there was some information came out today that talked about WWE hopes that Chelsea and I just said her name. Sonya can hold the belts and give stability to the tag team division. You could have been given stability to the tag team division. It's your booking. The booking of the women's division is what's lacking. It's not the talent. If they wanted to make any of the old ex tag champs strong, they could have done it. So that one kind of like soured me a little bit when I heard that. But if this is going to turn into a long, lengthy reign, so we do get these belts to be important, I'm all for it. But what you guys think about them winning the championship?
I used to deny Sonya Deville for years, and it was something. And it was something about just her reign as the general manager, and she losing her job too. She got fired, but it was something that I'm like, whatever they gave her, she just steps into the shoes, fills it super big, and you hate her. But that hate that you have for her is exactly what she wanted. And so when I'm a mark, I guess, in that case there, and time after time after time, and how she weasels herself into different championship opportunities, and she can go in the ring. It's something about it just flipped the switch on me, and I like her a lot. I've always liked Chelsea Green, and so the two of them, when we saw like the first month of Chelsea being with the WWE, how maybe they're about to be a tag team, I just had really, really high standards and a bright future for the two of them. And I think right now it is coming like full force, and I'm so happy that they won. I actually told Matt when in the middle of watching the match, I'm like, hopefully they win, because again, I did not want Liv to not win her opportunity back to get it. But I know it's like you said, it's hot potato on the tag champs. But somewhere in that match, I'm like, we need new tag champions, because I believe in them. And that's probably what it is, because I know you always talk about how what's her name? Raquel and Liv are a makeshift team.
Well, but then we also knew that they were going to lose, being Raquel and Liv, because Rhea did a number on her right before that. And I'm like, all right, well, that's their out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was great, because I'm like, all right. And then Liv came and got her some.
Yes, she did.
At the end of that, in that main event, she came and got her some of Rhea. And unfortunately, she left the arena yesterday in an arm sling. They said it was her wrist, and I'm sure it was when she hit Rhea. They went over to the timekeeper's table. If you watch, they went over really, really clean. And when you go over that clean, it's hard to break your fall. My assumption is going to be she tried to break her fall with her wrist and hurt her wrist. So hopefully she's not out too long, because I thought then, like, okay, are they going Liv and Rhea at SummerSlam? Because she got some of Rhea, it was great to see. We haven't seen, and I don't include Natty, but we haven't seen anybody really get the upper hand on Rhea female wise. Shit, have we?
It's NXT,
honestly,
NXT.
Well, I mean, I guess no, it was Charlotte.
Okay, I'll give you Charlotte.
That feud. But since then, she's been almost untouchable, and she wasn't last night. So I thought that was really, really cool. So now knowing that Raquel has no title, Liv has no title, if you had to book, who are you booking Rhea against at SummerSlam?
Maybe that wasn't on the rumored matches, right? But I think we talked about, Rhea and Raquel, right?
It said Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did it say? Yeah. So this is a way to get there. I'm not 100% surprised that they lost the championships. To be honest, I kind of wanted them to lose the championships, and I wanted Sonya and Chelsea to win. Because we talked about the women's tag team championships a few pods ago, right? We talked about how it just kind of was a useless title. They had makeshift teams. No one was really over. And I kind of wanted Ronda and Shayna to kind of be the stable thing, because they were both huge stars, big personalities, and hopefully can carry the division. But we found out soon after that, Ronda wants out, right? She wants to, I don't know if she's retiring. And she wanted her last match to be against Shayna. So they had to get to that match at SummerSlam. So they lost the championships, right? And we also don't know what could have been with Liv and Raquel previously before this, right? Because I know Liv got injured. I'm not, either before the match or after the match or whatever the case may be. So this might have just been a way to get the titles onto another heel team. I'm for it, right? Because I think Chelsea's an awesome personality. I think Sonya, let's talk for a minute. I think her gear is phenomenal. She has really, she always, since she's made the change with the GM character, her gear is just top notch. She
even when she was a GM, her suits was sweet. She always had swagger.
Is awesome, right?
Always swagger.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think the belts are finally in good hands currently, and I'm all for Raquel and Rhea. Right? We kind of wanted to see that even back in NXT days.
Right.
I'm hoping they can heat Raquel up enough.
You got 2
to
weeks.
Make her a serious challenger.
You got 2 weeks.
So,
and that's why I wonder maybe if they were going to pivot to Liv. If Raquel's knee is hurt, if her knee was hurt enough to where they lost the tag titles, for her to be 100% healthy going into SummerSlam, we'll see how they get there. Yeah. But It was a good piece of business. That was a good piece of business. Speaking of people who were hurt too, shout out to Bailey. Hopefully she's okay. She got hurt at the house show live event on Sunday. Non-contact. She went down, held her knee. They put her out the match. She said she's going to be good. She posted a video in the training room with just ice on her knee. Somebody had video of her walking out the arena. No crutch, but she had a limp. So hopefully she's good to go, because that would have been devastating if she would have been out again.
Yeah.
But it looks like she should be
out
okay.
for almost a year and a half, or was it
long time?
It's him a long time.
Yep. So I got to eat some crow. You guys know, not the biggest fan of the Viking Raiders. It has nothing to do with them, the talent. I love War Raiders. It's a war machine. It is the gimmick. Match comes on yesterday. It's the Viking Rules match. Viking Raiders and Alpha Academy.
Which Viking Rules is no rules. Is essentially no rules.
Basically, it's no DQ. Right?
No DQ.
I'm like, man, if it was time for me to do something, this is the perfect time for me to do it. I think I went on Twitter a little bit. Our guy Brandon was at the show, so I'm texting with him. And I'm watching the match, and I'm like, this match actually isn't that bad. Let me dial in. Let me start watching.
Yes.
Gotta admit. Yes. Outside of the main event.
Come over to the side.
Why was the best match
Come
on the
over
show?
to the side.
So, hey, look, if I shit on Viking Raiders, I got to give them their props. Alpha Academy and Viking Raiders did the damn thing yesterday. I loved everything about that match. That was really, really entertaining. Really entertaining. So shout out to them. It was much better than what I thought.
And she broke her cherry again, speared through the table.
She did. Soon as she got that jacket, she went right through that table. And she took it too.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't run from it. So that was really good. That was really, 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 really good. One thing that's not good, in my opinion, you guys tell me what you think. We all know the three of us is from Detroit. SummerSlam is in Detroit. Not that I was looking for an Eminem theme song, right? We've heard Lose Yourself more than enough. I'm good on Lose Yourself.
Big Sean.
We have so much quality music from Detroit artists.
Rhodesia from the Entourage.
If you wanted to go rock, they're not from Detroit, but Kiss, which is arguably like a top 5 rock group, has a song called Detroit Rock City. We get none of that.
They haven't used that before, though.
We get Born to Be Wild. That, from what I know, there is no connection to Detroit on that.
Bro, did you Google that?
Wasn't a fan of it.
I ain't wasting my time on that.
Oh, Lord.
Wasn't a fan of it. Wasn't a fan of it.
I'm about to lay some tracks and be the new theme song for SummerSlam.
Any other city?
I want to know.
Any other pay-per-view? Okay. Detroit? SummerSlam? Nah, that ain't it.
Maybe they'll have a second song. You know, like how they have just the main song, then they have the second song, which is really the more hot song anyways.
That's what I'm hoping.
They played some Trick.
We definitely could have. We could have definitely got some Trick. Eminem, Welcome to Detroit. We definitely could have got that. If Uzi show up to WrestleMania Trick and could show up to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
All right, so it's been long enough, guys. I ain't letting y'all get out of this. E, you can pander all you want. Rhodesia, you can pander all you want. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it.
Let's get to it.
Y'all ready to have a real conversation about these Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus segments? Yet or no?
Oh, I thought we was past that already.
Y'all ready to have a real dialogue about these promo segments?
I don't have nothing to say about it. I'm indifferent to them. I told you there's always something missing. I don't know if it's just a difference in generations. It's just not syncing right. And like you said it perfectly a couple weeks ago. It seems like they're hot, but they can't be hot at the same time. Something is off. Something is completely off.
It happened again last night. And as excited as I am for the matches, you know, I was really high on the match in Saudi. I will be probably just as high, if not higher, on their match for SummerSlam. But this isn't it. it doesn't work. Their segments together don't work. Like they're batting like 1 out of 4.
Yeah.
Good segments. It's just off. And then I thought, like, man, is it maybe because they're feuding for like too long? Because this has been going on for a long time. And I'm like, no, it's just like it doesn't. I said it before, but it truly feels like, hey, we're gonna go out there, and what happens happens. See you out there, and then that's it. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Should be fun to see Becky and Zoe wrestle next week, and of course the stipulation is if Zoe loses, we get Trish and Becky at SummerSlam. We know that's the end game, but yeah, these segments aren't it, and I don't know whose fault it is. I guess we really won't know whose fault it is until Trish feuds with someone else,
right?
And then see what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that wasn't good. Wasn't good. I didn't like it. What else from Raw?
That's all I had. That's why I completely forgot about Trish and Becky. That's all I was already tapped out.
We talked about last episode. It is now a year in Triple H's head of creative run. Give me a letter grade. What would you give Triple H in his first year?
Am I just doing a grade? Am I giving some context to it?
You can do what you want.
All right. So I'll just say I'm going to give him an A-, and I'll just give a couple of reasons why. So when you go back this last year, you look at when he took over. It's safe to say SummerSlam was mostly Vince, right? Last year?
Well, the card was already flushed out.
Yeah, I'm still going to call it Vince. I'll still call
Okay.
it Vince because, like, you're right. You can kind of produce it differently, but the card is the card. And then
Well, we know they produced it differently. Remember, that was when we got Damage Control for the first time. And ain't no way in hell this was just a Vince-led show. We would have got EO and Dakota back.
That is true. Clash in
Castle.
They
that was September.
And that was probably still also a little bit of Vince, right? He probably already had that. He had it booked already. So I'm gonna take those two out. I'm taking SummerSlam and Clash at the Castle out. So then you look at Survivor Series where we get War Games, probably the best War Games I've ever seen with the Bloodline. You double back with Royal Rumble. You get WrestleMania night 1 and 2. That could be arguably individually somebody's best WrestleManias of modern time. Backlash, incredible. Money in the Bank, pretty solid. You look at that, look at all those PLEs that he's put on. You look at how hot the crowd is. You look at just even how you mentioned that are these new fans we talking about here? If they are, if they aren't, they're hot. People want to watch. I would give him an A+ for that kind of stuff. And the only reason why I bring it down a little bit is because of some of his, the women's division. Overall, I think it's improving now, but the tag is non-existent. And then some of his callbacks. So you have somebody like Bray, Karrion, Braun he brought back, but Braun is injured though, right?
Yep.
So I just have to bring his grade down a little bit. The call-ups of NXT, I can't really say completely is Triple H's because we know Shawn Michaels was under they were under his leadership for a while. So overall, I'm gonna give him an A- just because the PLEs and how exciting the shows have been. I would have said A+, but he has to take a little bit of something for some of these bad callbacks and not having a solid women's tag team division. Long-winded answer, but that's overall kind of my thoughts around how he's did his first year.
Hey, so I just did some pause for a second. I did some intensive Googling about this Born to Be Wild song. I was just really interested that you said that.
What you got?
Nothing.
Not a damn thing, huh?
Hey, well, so first I searched for Detroit, right? No, there are some Detroit references, but I didn't dive into them. So I looked to see where the group came from, and they're Toronto born from Los Angeles. Toronto ain't Detroit, goddammit. So
it's close, but right.
I'll give you
it's
something.
a 4.5 hour drive.
You ain't the D, you know what I'm saying? So like there's something to that boo that you gave him for picking that song. But if there's some kind of significance to this song, we've all heard it. please let us know. But
let us know, please. Yeah, because and then I'll take it back if I need to. Y'all know I have no problem walking things back. But this was one of the things I was most excited for, to see what theme song they were going to pick. Because I'm like, man, it's got to be something Detroit related. Come on now.
It should have been.
Yeah, no.
I was trying. Let's see. This guess goes back to the Triple H. I expect, like, hey, Triple H got to have a reason, right? He done talk to the people about representing, for the TFW podcast at SummerSlam. Cause he know that I'm like an inch away from running in on Ford Field, y'all. Because if Cody go down, I'm coming down. Cause it ain't gonna be good. You know what I'm saying?
You know what that means? Eshaun's about to be banned from Ford Field for life.
Hey, let me be honest with you. Full transparent. I ain't never been to Ford Field. I lived there all my life. So if I ain't got to go back for Cody, I'm doing my due diligence as an invested fan, okay?
You going to make it worth it. Got it.
Yeah. But that's
what? So that's the problem. And that's the issue, man. If you were at that show last night at Raw, you could have helped Cody. Because evidently Cody ain't got no friends backstage. This man Brock breaks his arm every other week. Ain't nobody coming out to help Cody. You was the one to help, and you wasn't even there, man.
Hey, you know what? I had some guilt and hurt in my soul last night. When going to bed, I couldn't sleep.
I should have.
I was. Yeah, man. I was trying to wait on the family originally to get group tickets. It's like all our kids are into wrestling, so I was gonna buy tickets for the whole family. So it was 6 kids and 4 adults. I was just gonna go ahead and do it. Man. However, I was hoping to get a little bit back, maybe 20% of the tab back, but nobody wanted to chip in.
Ooh.
So I didn't go. But I started to go ahead and buy a ticket and roll dolo, but I didn't. Right? I could have walked in. I would have saw it happening because we're going to go back to the Triple H thing. Billy Ray had mentioned on Busted Open the other day, and he said that he felt like Cody is on a 9 out of 10 as far as full investment from the WWE Universe. And he said what kind of would have brought it over if somebody from the crowd, staged or not, would have jumped in on Brock on Cody's behalf, right? It kind of made a big deal. It made like a big thing for fans to be like, hey, I got to come save Cody. And that could have been me, right, Matt? So you're right, man. I would have came. I would have jumped Brock. No, actually, no, I wouldn't.
I was about to say you would not have touched
Brock. I don't think I would jump. See, I would grab a ref. I don't think I would come after Brock. Like, so if Ford Field you lose, Brock, I ain't coming after you, fam. I mean, I don't want no parts of that. Okay, no parts. But let me get to your question. That's an awesome question, Matt. I'm gonna go ahead and give Triple H an A. Overall, I think Rhodesia, you are absolutely correct with those callbacks because we kind of alluded to it a little bit. You look at Tegan Knox, like what's she doing? Why is she there? Emma, there's we think about Dexter. We got Johnny. We got Scarlett and Carrion. We got my hit bro. Oh my God. We got my hit bro.
For you, because you said let's not bring them up. I have purposely not brought up Hit Row over the last few weeks.
It's you. I mean, yeah. At this point, you can't. It's unavoidable, right? But so many of those call-ups. But I mean, he got a lot of people right, and he actually rejuvenated a lot of these acts. Right? We talk about Judgment Day right before Triple H took over. Like we didn't care about. I don't know what the fan base did, but we didn't care about Judgment Day as fans. We were like, oh man, these guys are horrible.
Well, I hated Judgment Day for a particular reason, but I digress.
But yeah, so we didn't care about Judgment Day, but we do now, right? Bloodline, he kept that going, made them hot. Bronson Reed actually was a pretty good callback. He hasn't really hit just yet, right? Braun Strowman was actually pretty good. I think Braun has been doing the best work in his WWE career as of recent, right? So he's gotten some things wrong, but he gotten a lot of things right. But ultimately, he helped a fully watchable and exciting, Raw and SmackDown, right? We no longer see any of the garbage that sold us as fans. He got rid of 24/7 championship. There's so many small things that change under his regime that really enhanced the overall product. And even if Vince right now is, it's obviously has his fingerprints all over these shows. you can tell that he has his fingerprints over a much better like script and vision, right? And so I think we're getting a good product. So I'm gonna give him an A.
Yeah, I'm gonna go A-, and a little bit differently than what you guys said, because you guys know that my reason why it's not an A or A+ is because Raw was poor last October and November. I remember those shows. It was rough watching those shows. Yep. It just wasn't good. Raw wasn't good. It wasn't anything really to tune into. But if you look now, and it's all about popularity. It's all about, I talk a lot about emotional investment. I talk a lot about like who you care about. A couple years ago, AEW was so hot and so popular.
We loved it.
Such a cool product. And I used to always tell E all the time, everybody's over. We would watch Dynamite, and everybody who was on screen was over.
Tito from catering, we was cheering him.
Over, right? Mm-hmm. It is flipped, and everything we know, everything flips.
Everything
whatever is old is new, and everything goes in cycles. But listen to this top tier group in WWE right now, and tell me the last time you can remember these many people being legit over. Okay, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Brock Lesnar, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre, Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Dominic Mysterio, Solo, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Logan Paul. I would throw Ricochet in there now, but I can see if somebody didn't want to. Street Profits, LA Knight, Otis, Chad Gable, Zelina Vega, Shinsuke Nakamura. And I'm stopping now because I've just kind of gone through.
So that's 28. That's 28 people, including Ricochet.
And I would say those people are truly over. Right? That you care about them. They're anything they're probably involved in, you kind of care about. Their matches are going to be loud from the crowd. When's the last time we had that many people in WWE that we cared about? It's been a really, really long time.
A very long time.
It's been a long time. Mm-hmm. And you know what, Matt? Like it escaped my mind at the time when I was going through my list. But two people that stood out from that list of the 28 guys you mentioned, LA Knight and Gunther. Where were they before Triple H? Almost out of the company.
Yep.
Like, right? We just did a show last week. We talked about, you think that LA Knight is the hottest guy in the company. Like, right?
He was a completely different person a year ago.
Yep.
Completely different character. And Gunther was on his way out of the company, right? And we're talking about all these banger matches that he's been having. So I think he's done a great job. Great job.
And that's what it is. When you have so many, I was watching Raw last night. Cody is the top guy on Raw. You can argue Cody or Seth. We can have that argument, okay? But you can go 1A, 1B. But then you also go KO and Sammy have been instrumental in what they've done on Raw. Gunther's up there right now. I'm probably forgetting one more that I thought about. But you basically have 5 top acts on Raw. And then you go to SmackDown, you look at the entire bloodline. You go LA Knight now. You're about to have Bobby Lashley now. You just look at, there's so many popular acts that WWE has right now. So that's why the product is hot. It's more than just one person. A lot of times during that Cena era, it was Cena and who's Cena feuding with? I don't know, maybe. And then, you would go, so shout out to them. So I give them an A- just because of the weaker time we had in October, November. We know nothing's always going to hit, but they're doing some really, really good things. If you look at just how SummerSlam is shaping up, that looks to be like the WrestleMania of the summer, the way SummerSlam used to be years and years and years ago. They're doing some great stuff. So, and I'm very, very happy to see that. Very happy to see that.
Real quick before you guys transition something else, just from fans, right? Just us talking. Matt, you and I, we talked about how happy we were with AEW a couple years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you were a little bit like I was super high on AEW, and I'm still a fan of the show, even though I talk a lot of junk. Do you feel like your fandom right now is higher? Do you feel like you have the same level of fandom for WWE that you did AEW a couple years ago?
That is a great question.
I'm only asking Matt specifically, Rhodesia, because I didn't talk to you a lot about AEW back then.
So are you asking me, am I as much of a fan of WWE now as I was AEW a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Because it's hard to know. AEW was new.
And they were hot, man. They only had one show. It was only 2 hours.
And we needed something different from what we
and that was what it was
gotten,
too.
Right?
And that's what it was. Like, I was in heaven with AEW because it was much more adult oriented. You know, they were allowed to curse. They were bleeding. You could tell that the promos weren't scripted at all. And we had gotten to a point in WWE where everything just felt so canned. That's the other thing, too.
NXT.
That's the other thing, too, that we kind of haven't talked about. And we know they still have scripted promos in WWE. But, boy, are they allowed to evidently put their own flavor on it or use their own cadence or throw in some of their own words? Like Ricochet, one of the things about Ricochet, he always says homie. And I can always tell, like, when he's comfortable, if he says homie. Mm-hmm. In that promo he had with Logan Paul, even though Logan Paul got him in the promo battle, he said homie. And I'm like, okay, I haven't heard him say homie in a long time on WWE TV. So they're even more comfortable on camera. I think that has a lot to do with it too. But man, I was super high on AEW. Like hell, we've been to countless amount of AEW shows. Yeah. But I really love what WWE's doing right now. And a lot of it is bloodline related, but it doesn't matter. You know, same reason why when AEW first started, it was the us against them mentality of, no, this is our brand of wrestling. If you don't like what they're doing right now, come see us. So the same way I was on top of, you know, the Bucks and Cody and Kenny, because we got this movement that is fantastic and we're going to show that we can make it work. But man, like, that's a great question. I would probably still have to say, I am more of a fan of WWE now. And it's only because of the bloodline. Because it's the best thing I've ever seen on wrestling television. You can argue, if we want to go back, we could argue Hogan and Savage is probably the only thing that could rival this story.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, and I would say a couple months ago, I would say it wasn't as good, right? And I might just be from my childhood, remember something I really loved. But now I got to say, I don't think it's close.
And I think the two most important storylines in wrestling history is, one, I think NWO, and I think two is Austin and McMahon.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I don't put Austin McMahon as like the number one storyline like I do Bloodline, McMahon wasn't a worker, right? Yeah, we saw him in a couple matches, but that was boss against employee, where this is family against family. Like and everybody's a worker. Everybody wrestles. So that's why I personally have the bloodline over anything else that I've seen in wrestling.
What about you, Rhodesia? I didn't talk to you a lot about AEW back then.
I'm actually going to go the opposite because, yes, the product that we're getting in WWE in totality is better than what I remember when AEW first came out. But AEW gave me a feeling that I've never felt before. So with that being said, my fandom for AEW was more exciting when they first came out than how I feel right now about WWE. Part of it is new. Part of it has been everything that I've always said I wanted in a show. It was something different. And it was this wrestlers, again, the way they made it advertised. I'm even going back to All In. 4 guys coming together saying, let's put up some money and put on a wrestling show, which we were at All In. So we were there from the very beginning. So for me, that fandom, that knowing that, hey, we are history. In that moment, it was present day, but we're a part of history. That's a certain feeling that I have never gotten from WWE, and I won't because WWE has been around. So for me, my fandom of AEW when it first came out is more higher than it is right now. But the Bloodline is the best storyline I think I will ever see in wrestling history.
Yeah, I forget specifically what you said that kind of sparked that question in my mind, Matt. But I'm with you as well, Rhodesia. I think I'm trying to, talk my way through my own feelings, because when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, you know what? I kind of feel like, and my passion for AEW at the time was a little bit higher than my entertainment overall for WWE, which I'm still entertained by. I actually really like both shows right now. I still wish Raw was 2 hours, but for a 3-hour show, it's pretty darn good. I haven't thought Raw was a good show in years. But you're right, Matt. There was a time where I was invested in every single character on AEW. Every single character, from like the lower card to the mid card to the upper card. I just was into everything and everybody. Yeah, it had just things I didn't like about the show, but I just was into every single body. And I can't say that right now on a SmackDown or a Raw that I'm into every single character, or even the majority of the characters. I'm into enough of the characters to where if there's something on that I'm not necessarily interested in, I can watch that and wait till I get to the segment or the thing
to get to where you are interested. Right.
Yeah, right. Instead of just completely checking out like I would back in the day. But with AEW, that 2 hours, I was invested into everybody. It makes me kind of sad that I'm still a fan of AEW, but I just lost a lot of that magic. We're going to get into Dynamite, pretty soon, AEW in general. But yeah, I would probably say that I was probably more excited as a fan. But again, look, WWE right now is the old friend that knocked on the door, like, right. Like, hey, how you doing? I missed you, right? I always loved you. We got mad at each other for a couple of years. Hey, we back. It's all hugs, it's all love, right? Like, AEW was that new hot thing that I ain't never seen before. That smell good, look good, taste good. You know what I'm saying? So there's something to be said about
you say that. New. That made me think of the once in a lifetime, the first time. Thinking of The Rock, my old love, and John Cena, my new love. And in the end, I think I end up going on John Cena's side. I think if my memory serves me correct.
Yep.
I was surprised, and I was so surprised.
You're the only person in the entire stadium cheering for Cena at that time. Well, only adult. The kids had that unlocked for Cena. That's a great question, though, E. So that was a good bring up. I think too that a little bit of the shine is off of AEW right now, but they're getting it back for me personally with Collision. For me, it's arguably, if you said, hey, Matt, which show is the best wrestling show on TV? Take everything into account. Of course, it comes down to SmackDown or Collision.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like Collision is damn near perfect to me. Yes, if you want a little bit more sports entertainment and storylines, they really don't have that. They do a great job of setting things up on Collision with video packages, things of that nature, but you're not getting the MJF Adam Cole shenanigans, on Collision. And I get that. They are going to have to add some of that in, but just from a wrestling show, when I sit down, I get excited to watch Collision. And I still get excited to watch Dynamite too, but there's just a lot of, like, Collision is made for me. The format of Dynamite isn't like made for the type of fan that I am. Still enjoy it, still watch it every single week, but Collision is my show, right? The same way SmackDown was my show for the last 6 to 8 months. Raw's been doing pretty good as of late, really probably since the draft, I guess. Or no, actually, since they introduced that new World Championship. And there's a correlation to that too, of course.
I was going to say when KO and Sammy went in the championship too, because they were able to go back and forth. So I think that added to that on top of them having the World Heavyweight. Or what is Seth's belt called? The Heavyweight?
World Heavyweight Championship.
World Heavyweight
That
Championship.
Is a heavyweight, okay. And Universal heavyweight champion is Roman. So yeah, I
Universal
think with the
Undisputed.
combination, there we go, the undisputed, right? That's
Universal
disputed, but
Undisputed, yep.
but yeah, you got that. You got the heavyweight belt, and then you have the tag being somebody other than the Usos coming back and forth. I think that both of those played a role into to Raw being pretty good too.
So we all agree we love Collision. We still enjoy Dynamite, but E, I think you are much
I like
lower,
Dynamite still.
You are much lower on Dynamite than I am right now. If there was one thing that you said I can only change one thing, what is that one thing for you for Dynamite to get you back on looking forward every single Wednesday to watch?
That's a great question. And, I kind of wanted to go on a tangent on the show a couple of days ago, but, since I'm a loving man and I love all things, I don't really hold grudges against
Hey, man, go hard.
Tony.
Go.
But so
because we didn't even talk about what you wanted to go off on. I think you went off on, you just said something about Wednesday, wasn't it? I was like, hey, hold that thought. We'll talk about it next pod. You got to at least give us something.
But no, the thing is, honestly, I don't really remember what set me off. I would have to watch it again, to be honest with you. I just have a hard time holding grudges. But, when I watch the show, now I've always said that I respect Chris Jericho and the work that he's done and how he's kind of, he's redefined his body. I think his character, almost every single time he's redoing his character. But I'm just not interested in him.
Don't tell me if you had a magic wand to give to Tony Khan and say, hey, look, Tony, this is what I need you to change for me to enjoy the show. Do not tell me your number one thing would be do not have Chris Jericho on my TV.
He got to come off my TV.
Yeah, damn. No, that's what it was. That's what it was, because you said that Commander Chris Jericho wasn't it.
Yeah, because they opened up the... Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I thought I'm tuning on to the show already. I'm turned off because it's a Chris Jericho match, and I'm not watching this. I check out. It doesn't matter who he's wrestling.
So you tell me you're not singing Judas?
Hell to the no, man. I get rid of that song. I hate that song now. Then you got Alex coming out there looking like a freaking clown, straight up looking like a clown. With Commander. With Commander, and. I just immediately was just pissed off. I'm like, man, this is what you're doing to open the show. This is what we want to do. We got this, this young crowd, right, with this young demo, and you putting out 50-something-year-old Jericho, and 60-something-year-old Don Callis, 40-something-year-old, Alex hopping around looking like a clown. And Commander, clown. I don't know who this man is. He might be young, but I'm like, man, this ain't it, man. I mean, it's just when I watch the show, it just seems, I don't know if disorganized is the proper word I'm looking for. But it doesn't seem like the structure is there like it is on Collision. It seems to be like a point to what they're trying to accomplish and what they're doing. This seems like, hey, this is what I have a strong structure in place, and this is how I want to drive this show. From the start to with this, the homage to the, Saturday night. What's the name of that show back in the day, man? I'm losing my mind.
Which one?
Late here.
Saturday Night Main Event.
Saturday Night Main Event, right? The homage to those interviews, to the video package. It seemed like there's a point to everything, single thing on that show, and I don't always know what I'm supposed to get out of when I watch Dynamite. It's just I don't know specifically what it is, man, but it just don't do it for me. Outside of Adam Cole and MJF, that's the best. I love that.
Yep. And you're not by yourself. I am big into attendance. Where some people talk a ton about ratings. I don't care about ratings. Me and Matt have conversations all the time. He'll talk about new hip hop artists and how big they are. And my first question every single time is, when have they gone on the arena tour? And typically they haven't. And I said, they're not as popular as you think they are. I don't care about streams. To me, streams is kind of equal to ratings for TV. Okay, you can have all the streams you want. But when it comes down to people who are putting money down to come see you, that tells me all I need to know. And right now, WWE is super hot. Sold out State Farm. First time they've sold out that arena in a long time. We see every single week, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. AEW is not really hitting that. Outside of Chicago, typically when they are going back to a market, they are selling less tickets than they did the time they were there previously. Chicago, the last couple times, they've actually sold more tickets than last time. That is really strong.
No, it's because a Punk came back too, though.
Correct. Hey, but it is what it is, though.
Yeah.
Right? But when I look and see, I remember when Dynamite was doing 6,000, 7,000 weekly. And then we look at some of the ticket sales, and they're at 2,900, 2,800, 3,200. It's like, okay, well, there is something that they're doing that people don't want to go spend money on to see them. The majority, yes, still. But that's all the market research you need to do. Is if there are sections of people that aren't there, okay, and they were last time, there's something that we need to tweak. Now, Collision, yeah. I take that away just because, once again, it's a new IP. They got to build. And I think they will if they continue down the path that they are. But I don't think you're by yourself in that. And I'm hoping that we turn around. The show has been good. We got Blood and Guts this week. A lot of people should be excited for that. They're in Boston. I think they've hit 6,000 tickets sold, so should be allowed. Packed house for that show. And we've already talked about what we got this summer. This is a big summer for AEW. The news, I guess, kind of broke last week that they're looking into expanding pay-per-view for AEW. Time Warner, WBD, wants more shows, more pay-per-views. Tony comes out and basically says that that's something they're thinking about. He hasn't commented on if that means once a month, if that means once every other month. He hasn't said, but the one comment he did make was, I don't think any company that has expanded pay-per-view has lost money or felt it was the wrong move. We know they're not going to lose money. They have a hardcore fan base that if they decide to go once a month, they're going to get enough to make money. My question to you two is, from a quality perspective, do you think their shows, their weekly TV, their weekly stories, do they get better if they expand pay-per-views, or do they get worse?
I would think that they will stay the same, because when I first saw that rumor there, they practically have monthly PLEs or pay-per-views. You look at things like Forbidden Door. You got like Fyter Fest. You got the Grand Slams, I think it's what it's called. You have all these Blood and Guts. You have all these already extra shows. Those can already be your pay-per-view shows already. Now, as far as the rest of the storyline, we know what we're getting out of Dynamite. We know we're getting out of Collision. Again, now, if we're talking about a Collision pay-per-view, we don't know what that is. That's territory we know nothing about right now. But as far as them having monthly pay-per-views or more than the 4 or the 3 that they have, I think they can absolutely do it. They already have names that they can already plug into using it. As far as will it get better or worse, I think it's going to be the same. I think maybe it get a little bit tighter and a little bit better, because now you can build saying, hey, we're going to run this for 2 pay-per-view scenes, and then we'll switch off to something else. So I think that would naturally, hopefully, tighten it up and make it a little bit better. But overall, I don't think it's going to do that much of a difference.
So, I think you're right, Rhodesia, as far as the Forbidden Door and the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. I think there might have been another pay-per-view in between that. And I think that during that time period, their creative suffered because they were kind of speeding to each pay-per-view for storyline purposes. Like, right?
They did. For sure. They did.
And I think we noticed that the year before that. So definitely during this stretch of month after month pay-per-views, to us, and think about it in retrospect, we disliked the creative during that time period. If that was a consistent state of being for them, I think they would be in trouble. I think that their creative has gotten a little better. Could they be able to slow down and kind of focus on telling some rich stories and building 2 matches down the line? If we were to get WWE style, 3-week build to a pay-per-view every month. I don't know if they have the creative structure in place, at least not on Dynamite, not that team, to do something that makes it compelling, and especially when you're asking a fan base now to pay $50 a month every month. That might be a stretch for some people, right?
That would be
especially
the biggest thing.
With a lot of us wrestling fans, for years since WWE has dominated, we're paying $9.99.
Yep.
Right? Now, heck, we're paying, $6 a month, or, in some people's cases with, Peacock, depending on your subscription, you might have paid $20 for the whole year, right? And you're getting amazing content. So my question, though, and I don't know if I read it, I think I looked at the same thing that you saw, Matt, was why does WB want AEW to have more pay-per-views? What's in it for them?
More money, baby.
That's all money.
More money, baby.
How so? Because WB doesn't have a stake in the company. They're not getting that extra money. But the pay-per-views are going to go to AEW's pocket, which is a great thing.
It's got to be some type of kickback through Bleacher Report or something, because it was strictly a money thing.
Right. So, or, WB has this Max, with Discovery and Warner Brother content. Could we be seeing a possible AEW, shows, ROH shows, possibly on WB and a couple of their pay-per-views that might enter that platform?
Well, they talked about, and that's what I thought. If you guys remember, I called it. I said that months ago. I'm like, hey, All In is going to be on Max. All Out will be a traditional pay-per-view. Last week, word was they are both going to be on pay-per-view. Tony Khan said today on the ROH conference call, the media call that they had, that he, I guess, will know or he'll discuss exactly how All In will be seen, but he did guarantee or state that it will be at night in the UK, which means it'll be early afternoon here in the US. But it looks like both are going to be on pay-per-view. So asking your fans to buy 2 pay-per-views in a 7-day span, maybe they come up with some type of combo deal, buy one, get one, maybe you go $100 or $90 total, who knows? But to your point about the pay-per-views, yes, Max, that would be fantastic for all of us involved. But from a content perspective, I think it actually could help their storytelling, because then you have to be dialed in. And I don't think they would go immediately to once a month. So I think they have 4 right now a year.
Revolution, Full Gear, All Out, and Double or Nothing.
Okay. So if you go to 6, so go to 6.
All In, right? All In, All Out.
Or All Out, yeah.
Double or Nothing. Forbidden Door.
Revolution. Forbidden Door too.
Yeah.
Which I kind of don't count Forbidden Door. That show, I think you kind of got your buys. Like,
yeah. Because it's your dream matches again. It's a gimmick.
It's one of those. So then say they add 2 more. That takes them to 6 or 7.
Fest.
So now you're going every other month. I think that's doable. And actually, I think that could tighten up their storytelling, because what that would force them to do is, or can't say force, what you would hope it would do is they know they map out. Because that's one thing you got to give Tony Khan and the team. If they didn't have this time frame mapped out, TV would be an absolute cluster, and it's not. And what I mean by that is you went right from Forbidden Door, going into Blood and Guts, going into Collision,
yep,
All In, All Out, and everything is kind of making sense. So that means that there's a plan. They're working their plan, and it is coming out on TV where it makes sense. You would just think if they went with 2 more pay-per-views a year, 3 more pay-per-views a year, the stories would have to be tighter. So we wouldn't see as much as we do now of, hey, pay-per-view was in 7 days. We only got 3 matches. And in that last show, they throw 6 matches at us from the pay-per-view. You would hope that goes away. Yeah, you would hope that goes away. But I mean, as we always say, we'll see. Anything that helps them grow, I think is great. But to me, that key is getting them on Max. There was something that came out that talked about the Max platform doesn't have the capability for live programming. And I started thinking, like, have we ever seen anything live on Max? And I'm not sure if we have. No. I think everything has been taped.
Those concerts, those were on Amazon, right?
Well, the weekend concert was on Max, but I don't.
That wasn't
I'm
live,
sure that wasn't live. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Oh no, it wasn't live. No.
Yep. Okay. Last thing on AEW, unless you guys got something, the banned moves list. Now this could be all for nothing. Tony Khan said on that media call today that which doesn't make sense to me. He said that we wouldn't see a change in the TV product. It's more of letting the referee know things. That doesn't make sense to me when you hear this list. But if you guys don't know, last week it was reported, there was a document sent out that AEW medical team, coaches, and referees came up with the protocols that we're about to talk about to help protect talent, staff, crew, and fans. Document that was sent out, outright banned unprotected chair shots to the head. We don't really see that now. Shots to the back of the head. We don't really see that now. Buckle bombs and blind moves backwards into the turnbuckle. Basically meaning you don't see the blow coming. Caesar sales. So Brian got his last one at Forbidden Door. Nobody can fake Caesars now. Spitting, bleeding in the crowd, weapons or projectiles in the crowd, taking drinks or food from the guests in the crowd, or physical contact with the crowd.
That was straight to Adam Page right there.
Blood on objects is also not allowed to be thrown into the crowd. The report noted there was also a group of spots that was much broader that was listed but still permitted. Medical and coaches must approve them. Below is a list that could be adjusted by medical, legal, or coaching staff and is not set in stone. So here are the things that they have to get approved by a coach before they do it. Spots and bumps on the ring apron and outside. Table, ladder, chair spots in and out of the ring. Any elevated spots outside of the barricades, which like dives and ladder spots on the stage, around the arena, and other places outside of the ring. All pile driver, tombstone variations, including sit-down drivers, inverted poison hurricanranas, and vertebreakers, high-risk dives, or top rope moves. Intentional bleeding of any sort, not just blading. Throwing people into, through, over the steps, commentary table, bell table, or guardware usage. And then chairs, pipes, kindle sticks, hammers, ring bells, bats, chains, title belts, thumbtacks, barbed wire, other sharp puncturing objects, and strangling or choking a wrestler. So there's a lot there. So reading that now, I can see why Tony Khan would say it may not change what we see. Because if that stuff still gets approved, my only hope is we actually get it shot properly. If now you got to get all that approved, there is no reason why we should be missing that shot. Because the coach or the producer should be telling the cameraman, hey, in this match, we're doing XYZ. Make sure we hit it. There was a spot last night that was incredible. It was in the main event. It was KO and Sammy. And the cameraman outside the ring had a shot of both of them doing a dive. KO does his dive first, and then Sammy goes over the top and does his dive. And the way they shot it was damn near like out of an action movie. They shot KO, and without breaking the shot, they moved to the left, and you caught Sammy's move. And so you see both guys down on the cell. You see both guys hit their move, and it was beautiful. And I'm like, well, they had to have said, this is the move we're going to do. Let's make sure we shoot that. And that's what we miss sometime in AEW. So if that list, hopefully this also helps with match 1 not taking all the heat from match 6 and doing the same moves. But hopefully that, and also if they have to get everything approved, that means everybody should be in the know on what we're doing. Let's shoot it so we get that effect like we should at home.
So here's what are my thoughts on this, because I didn't think that we was going to see much of a difference anyways. But let's say you do a band move. But let's say it goes over very well. Where's in the accountability or the enforcement of it? So just like with all regulations are cool, but how are you going to enforce it? So, I told coach such and such that we was going to do that move. Does coach say, nope, I didn't tell you to do it? Or does he go and tattle on Tony? So again, it's great to have this. Thank you. Because we that's one of our gripes about AEW. A lot of these high risk moves, maybe not for the right payoff, because either you move into something so quick and like you said, production wise, we don't really get to see it because you move into somewhere else, or we're going to commercial break and we don't see it. But now I do this move and I didn't get it cleared, but it popped. The crowd is going crazy. Kenny does something. So then does he get reprimanded?
It's a great question. Don't know.
You know what? When I read that, I wasn't that interested in it, to be honest with you. I think it makes sense. You know, like those things should be approved. And the fact that, you know, how long has AEW been around? This is their third?
4 years now.
4 years.
Yep.
4 years that they had to come up with a list that should be approved. These are things from a corporate, well, not corporate, but from a company. These are things that should have already kind of been in place. There should have already been protocols and things in place for these things. Just now we're 4 years into it, they're not there. It's kind of mind blowing in some ways. But it actually absolutely makes sense, especially with just legalities and health. As I think the more important thing is some of the things that you suggested, Matt, is if we can get some of these, because, you know, that was one thing in WWE, and I think in territory wrestling, you know, there were certain moves and things that you didn't do on the opening match, because it might take away from what you might see later on in the card.
Right.
You know, I don't know if wrestlers police this themselves or what the case may have been, but if they can do that, this manages to kind of stop that and allow some of the wrestlers to be a little bit more creative in what they're doing. Like, right. So that way you're not seeing the similar or same spots on an opener that you're going to look for in the main event. So that way the main event, which should be the most impactful thing that you watch on the show, is impactful. I'm all for that. But as far as like a lot of the these protocols, I mean, hey, kudos to them. You know, I guess it's never too late to fix a problem.
Right.
And I hope they solve some things and, you know, lessons issues in the future.
And I think to your point about the protocols, hey, if we want to grow, some of that stuff is common sense, but now we know, like, hey, don't bleed in the crowd.
In
like,
a crowd,
okay,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of that stuff, yes, to your point, it should have been done, but it wasn't before, but now we're taking care of it so we can move forward and be looked at as a more viable option for sponsors and not have lawsuits, because that could be coming and things of that nature. So I just hope that those moves, we still see them when it makes sense, but it is done in a much better way of the flow of the show.
Agreed.
You know, I wish they would bleed on me, man. I'm suing their asses. You had your shot yesterday, because I have a feeling if you would have jumped into the Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, somebody would have been bleeding. May have been your blood. It may have been my ass, man. Brock tore my ass up. Look, I don't want no parts of that.
Brock would have did like this. People want to can't see it, what I'm doing. We're going to just flick them.
Hey, you remember a couple years ago when that fan ran up on Seth?
Yep.
Seth got in that man's ass.
Sure did.
Right? Just imagine what Brock gonna do to me. I just told y'all I was 163 the other day, right? There you go.
Oh, wow. So y'all know I asked you last week on the Wednesday pod. I'll ask you guys again this week. What are you most looking forward to this upcoming week in wrestling? So tomorrow night or tonight, depending on when you listen to this, or match may already happen. Blood and Guts on Dynamite. Friday, we have the aftermath of Jimmy super kicking Paul Heyman. Roman will be back on SmackDown. We have, of course, Collision in the aftermath of Ricky Starks cheating on CM Punk. What do you guys, and may not even be anything I just named off, but what are you guys most looking forward to this week in wrestling?
Them enforcing these banned moves at Blood and Guts tomorrow night.
That's funny.
You know what? Look, we got Friday and Sunday for me, Collision. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing both those shows, continuation of that Bloodline storyline, and see what CM Punk got for me on his show.
I'm gonna go Blood and Guts, and I'll be honest, this is the first Blood and Guts match that I'm not excited from a storyline perspective, but I know they're going to kill that match. Kota Ibushi,
right?
Pac. That match is going to be unreal. So I know we're going to be getting on our Sunday pod talking about, damn, they killed that. That was pretty fantastic. So just knowing what's coming, it's blood and guts, but this is the first blood and guts match that I feel like. Remember back in the day when Hell in a Cell was a pay-per-view in October, and they would just do a match.
End of October, yeah.
It's October. It's we got to put this match in Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
That's personally how I feel about this. I think we've seen the Elite and the BCC so much that we could have blown it off weeks and weeks ago, but we didn't because we had blood and guts to sell. So from a storyline perspective, I'm whatever, but I know the match is going to kill, so I'm looking forward to it. If it was just a storyline perspective, it would be the next step with Ricky Starks and CM Punk.
That's a good one. So I just want to add one thing to our list of phrases and names. So we had the coup de grace, we had back body drop. I need to find out from somebody. I almost called this dude Neville. How do we pronounce Pac? Is it Pac or Pac? Is like Tupac or is like a 2-pack of tissue? Which one is it? Do we know for a fact how to pronounce it? How does he say it?
The bastard Pac.
It sounds like he says Pac.
That's what Justin Roberts says. The bastard Pac.
But how does Neville say it?
You went old school with Neville.
Yeah, we did.
So is it? I think
like
Neville says Pac.
DJZ. Like me with DJZ. I still don't know that man's name.
But I'll tell you, I had a chance to see him live at the Evolve show. And it was so cool because he actually used the sound effect, the air horn. If you guys don't know, he would do a move and then he would point and he would say DJ, and then out of nowhere it was just
no way.
Like during the match. It was super, super cool. Super cool. I liked it. All right, y'all got anything else before we get out of here?
Hope everybody has a wonderful week. Love on the people you love.
I like yes,
be
always.
Who you gonna
right?
be.
Always.
Gonna be.
In the words of Ray J.
Love what you gonna love.
Right? There you go. That's a wrap, guys. We are out of here. As I said before, the best kept secret in wrestling podcast. Do us a favor, let your friends, let your family know. Check us out each and every week, twice. All right. Follow us on Twitter if you have not. That's F&W. And then on YouTube, we are there with our full episodes at That's Freaking Wrestling. Thank you guys for listening. We will talk to you guys
Episode
on the next
50.
one.
Episode 50.
Absolutely. Coming your way. Peace.